today I have a very special guest. This is a guy I'm super high on. One of my favorite up and coming 35ers on the regional scene, and a guy that you're going to see compete at the next level very, very soon, Mr. Josh Walker. Josh, how are you doing this evening, my man?
What's going on? I'm doing pretty good this evening. It's a nice Sunday, chill Sunday, rest day, and just looking forward to the rest of the week.
Yes, sir. Josh, you live in Houston, Texas. You're at the War Training Center. And, you Houston guys, like, that's like a big city. Like, as far as like, when I think of fighting, that's like one of the cities that I think about. I think about Houston. I think about Fury FC. I know there are a lot of gyms in Houston. I know that there are a lot of UFC guys that go in and out of your gyms. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that you guys do pay attention to like the UFC cards and stuff that pop up from time to time. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, we definitely follow the UFC schedule and see what cards are.
I want to ask you about a fight that is happening in your weight class. You know exactly which one I'm going to ask you about. The rematch, Sterling versus Jan. You are a professional. These are guys that are the top dogs in the division. I don't think that's saying anything controversial. When you look at this fight, what is your opinion on how you see this bout going down? Do you see it happening similarly to the first one? Hopefully, like, nobody gets disqualified this time, but how do you see it going down?
Either I see Peter Yan whooping this man the whole time, maybe even finishing him in like 3 or 4, or maybe Peter Yan takes it lightly and Aljamain's been training his ass off, and Peter Yan gets still winning, but he gets caught. Maybe gets tired this time.
If you had to bet money on the fight, who would you put your money on?
Peter Yan for sure.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a good prop bet. I think I'm going to take Jan for a knockout and probably 3. I'm thinking 3 is what it'll take. The last time they fought, man, like Peter Yan like smacked him around like a little boy. And that says something. Like, I know we kind of have to forget about it. That fight was in the past. It had already happened, but I hadn't seen Aljamain get smacked around like a little boy like that, and he did. It was a man fighting a boy.
PTSD from those ass whoopings.
Yeah, man. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, like, sure. I thought that bout would be a lot closer than what it was. I specifically want to like dig down into you and like kind of where you are in your career at this point. When I was getting ready to talk to you last, we were on a 4-run tear, and you were a guy that caught my eye. I watch all the major regional promotions I watch, and in Fury FC, you're one of the guys pound for pound in that entire promotion that I pay attention to. Same with your teammate, Santiago Guzman. Like, when you guys fight, it's going to be entertaining. You guys stand out to me. You're a special fighter, man. You're a special talent. And like I told you this once before, that Jonathan Island fight, that was something else, man. I really like that fight. That's my favorite fight of yours. You were able to show what makes you such a special fighter in that particular bout. You're on a 4-run tear. You are getting ready to fight this Hawaiian dude named Kaleb Moniz. Can you talk a little bit about that fight? Like, I know this one doesn't go our way, but can you talk a little bit about how, when you look back on that fight now, are there things that you did that you're happy with and some things that you're maybe not so happy with? Like, when if you had to grade yourself looking at that fight now, what kind of grade would you give yourself?
I mean, I didn't win, so enough. But I don't really like to make a whole bunch of excuses. I just like to make things happen. So all I can say is I got really burnt out towards the later part of the year, and I guess I wasn't all the way focused or invested into that. I had a lot of things on my mind.
So that bout happened in October, and like looking back on it, I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like I remember the fight happening. He's a tough dude. Like all credit to your opponent. He's a tough guy. I probably underestimated him because I talk a bunch of shit, but that's kind of my job. So, I can be forgiven for that. You took that fight probably a lot more seriously than I did because I was just like, oh, Josh is going to start this guy. I'm not even worried about it. I underestimated him. He was a good opponent. What was you talked about focus and maybe some things going on outside of the cage, like as far as this upcoming bout that we have here happening shortly, like how do you know like we're not going to have a repeat of that? Like what made you say like, yep, I'm ready this time, like hard reset, I'm ready to go?
I just changed my overall approach to training. I was a lot more conscious about just the little things. The whole camp. I was more strict on myself and my meeting like my small goals throughout the camp to make the whole camp, a good camp. Like just like the small things, just like eating the right things, making sure I'm always eating the right things, making sure I'm always getting off for my runs, making sure I'm going to the gym after the gym. Just put in the extra work, having very focused training, sparring to get better, not win rounds or anything like that. Just strictly putting myself in bad positions the entire time. Always having tough partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And one your teammates is another guy I'm really high on, Karan Reed. um there aren't too many people of that caliber that can say that they're their teammates, that you're teammates with. That has got to do a lot in terms of like your preparation. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely a big confidence booster when you have so many great talent, so much great talent in the room, and maybe and then they're pushing you hard and you're pushing them just as hard back. So yeah, that definitely does boost your confidence going in bouts.
When the fight didn't go your way at the end of it, were you pretty like down on yourself? Like were you like in a dark place for a little while? Like some guys respond very differently to losses. Some guys are it's just like anything, right? Like we all are our own individual humans. Like we process things differently. Like some guys are like, listen, I need to eat a couple pizzas. I need to play some video games for a while. I'll be back. I'll be back in the gym on like Tuesday. I just need a couple days to process this. Other guys are in the gym like on Sunday. So for you, kind of what did you have to do to like regroup and just kind of put that behind you?
I just had to have a big reset. Instead of focusing on training, I just focus on like my life
Mhm.
and everything outside of the octagon or cage, whatever you want to call it. Focus on that. Just focus on me becoming a better person. Focused on just overall my life outside of the octagon or fighting.
Completely
That took like
understand.
two and a half, almost 3 months, just kind of on the couch,
Hmm.
kind of video games and shit. Well, I did
Hey,
that,
I,
and
I
then
I think having that sort of
now we're
disconnect can
back.
be a good thing. Talk to me a little bit about this upcoming bout that you have against Kaleb. I hope you fight these guys with last names that are difficult to pronounce for
Yeah,
me.
no. I think
Um,
his name's Peter Wright.
Peter Wright.
Petri,
Okay, thank you.
Petri dish.
Yeah, I like the kale guy. I it's so simple, but it's difficult because it's like Monies, monies. I don't fucking know. I'm sorry, Kale. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
for
be
sure.
disrespectful. I just don't know. So for Kaleb Peteriet, this is a guy that on paper he's not going to stand out to a lot of people, including myself. Like I look at this guy, and I have a tendency to kind of look at him. I look at who he's fought, and I'm just kind of like, okay, 5-4 record, best case scenario, like me looking at this super quickly, I'd be like, okay, a nice person would say he's a journeyman. An asshole would say he's a can. Just being real. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like when you look at like MMA math and you're trying to like really quickly get a pulse on how good somebody is,
Yeah.
you're either going to call him a journeyman or you're going to call him a can, straight up. But
Yeah,
this is a guy.
most people in the general public, they're like, nah. But honestly, like he might be 5-4. He might not be might not be the best fighter, but I think he's a tough kid, and I think he's still relatively young. So with his record, I think he just got thrown to the wolves when he wasn't ready, and took fights that he wasn't ready for. Now he has all these losses, but he's solid. He has solid stand up, okay, everything else, for the most part, I think he'll at least be tough.
I think he will. I still think I have his Tapology up right now. The Ricky Tercios fight, you mentioned it before we were recording. It's like, okay, so I skipped over that.
He lost every fight by submission or to some grappling shit.
Yeah.
One of those non-grappling motherfuckers.
Yeah, like this kid, when he wins, it's probably because he drew somebody into like a brawl. So like he's probably tough. His stand up.
He got some good striking. He got some pretty decent striking training. I think he's training with like Pete Spratt.
But there are things about your game in particular, and I don't want to ask you about your game plan. I'm not going to say the things I know about you. Do your own.
If you ask me about my game plan, I wouldn't even know what my game plan is. I'm just gonna go in there and fight.
I have only seen a limited amount of like how good you could really be, but you've shown flashes of it time and time again. And every single time that you're going out, I feel like, with the exception of the last fight, every single time that you're going out, like you're raising the bar, like you're showing me things I haven't seen you do before. Your ground game is really good. I've seen you on the ground before. I've seen you reverse positions. I've seen you scramble. I've seen you clinch. There are a lot of things about you that I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to. A lot of us are captivated by the striking, obviously, but there are all these subtle things in your game that you're working on that I pay attention to.
Oh, I appreciate that. I still got a lot of stuff I haven't like in store that I haven't, put out, or I really haven't fought to my potential yet. But each time I go out there, it's just like a little bit more of a step in the right direction, a few more steps up to be able to fight to my potential one day.
You are at one of my favorite gyms in the country. You have a good coach, good teammates, and you have limitless potential. Like, I really do honestly believe, and I wouldn't say this shit if I didn't believe it. I wouldn't say anything at all. I really honestly believe that you will be at that next level. It's only a matter of time. Like, you're still a young guy. Give it a little bit. Like, I'm not going to be surprised when I see you on the Contender Series. I'm not going to be surprised when you are in the UFC one day. Like, that's not like, you're very close. I think you just need to have, you probably talked about this with your coaches all the time. It's like, okay, we need to have a good 22. We need to string together some wins. So when you look at the rest of the year, I think this is a really good fight to build off of.
Yeah, actually, after this one, slowing my roll on things a little bit, but we're still going to be active in like competition and everything like that. I'm gonna take some time and develop, and it's my last fight with Fury on my contract, last fight on the contract, so probably not gonna re-up with them, be a free agent for a little bit, and just pick the right fights that make sense. And I think maximum 2 more at the end of the year. But after this, for the next 6 to 8 months, really, I kind of want to get back into some like grappling competitions, get my grappling game a little bit up. I just don't like where my grappling is right now. So I'm really looking to improve that as soon as this fight's over.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you'll look like when you have a few of those competitions under your belt. Like, come like winter of 2022 when I see you out there again.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
it'll be
it's gonna be something else, man. Like I'm excited for you. So your plan, I think, is it safe to say like maybe you'll fight obviously here in a few days, and then we'll see you again like in fall or winter. Is that fair to say?
yeah,
Okay.
maybe now, then come back maybe right before the holidays for like one more fight, two
Well,
more maybe.
I'm excited for it, Josh. I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited to see you right the ship and go 5-1. It's going to be great, man. I'm looking forward to it. Josh, as always, I appreciate your time. I want to give you the opportunity to shout out whoever you'd like before we sign off.
Just shout out to all my teammates and my coaches, Jeremy and Adam. Shout out to my sponsors. Um, Shout out to Complex for sending me this. Shout out to Trigger Point. Shout out to Jazzy Cuts. Peace out, guys.
All right, beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Josh Walker. Appreciate your time, Josh.